Hello, everyone. I'm John Woodson. Wrote this novel, The Staircase Shuffle. It's been out about a week. I wrote it for a poetry festival, Furious Flower. Chapter 1. I wrote a sonnet about Harlem. The 14 lines chased away my fears as well as a flask of snake oil cures TB. There was no denying I was a country bumpkin lost in the Negro city. Not that I was alone in being lonesome, not that many Negroes were native of Harlem. Most of the tens of thousands who crowded the wondrous streets of the neighborhood, pressed cheek by jowl, masked by desperation, appeared to be as complacent as stockyard beef in a feeding pen. They pretended that they drew comfort from the stinking togetherness, and like cattle they were being fattened for slaughter. The squeeze of familiar bodies, the common moaning, covered up their danger. The Harlemites worked every which way to disguise themselves as city slickers. In their heads, a song was always circling like buzzards. I'm a poor boy and a long way from home. Feel like I ain't got no friend. Despite being herded together with my brothers and sisters, I felt like an outsider. I scratched out a sonnet about Harlem, a clockwork machine of shiny meshed gears, jeweled spindles, and coiled brittle springs. It was cloying and sentimental, colored too much by the blues to serve as a call for social uplift. It was a mantle clock that ticked politely and chimed hours discreetly. It should have been a fire alarm. Yet, once I brought my sonnet to the final rhymed couplet, I drew courage from the exercise. I was a creator, and I steeled myself to face up to whatever was going to come my way. Way back there in the Gothic desolation of East Texas, where I had just traveled from, I had no trouble coming up with the idea for my Master of Arts thesis. I would go to Columbia University in New York and write about the new Negro writers in Harlem. From my perch in East Texas, New York now wore a pie-in-the-sky glow. Not that I had ever been there. I had attended not that I had never been there, I had attended a Negro college in Pennsylvania. I visited Harlem with my classmates a few times. That was a long time ago, when we were half grown. Back then, Harlem was raw, flooded with Southern refugees, field hands, convicts, washerwomen, root doctors. Everything about the North was high-flown, intoxicated, carnival. In the passage of time, Harlem was sure to be a modern, sophisticated place where I would mingle in salons with the Negro luminaries that I had read about in anthologies and magazines. How am I doing for time? Okay. More time? Okay. Just a little more then. Back home, it was hard to say who was the least sympathetic to my need for books, the head of the library or my wife. I had convinced the college's chief librarian to order some of the books by the new Negroes. I had even bought books by hiding some money from Ruth, my tirelessly frugal wife. Though my surreptitious purchases came nowhere near to getting me as many as I craved, I treasured my literary hoard like a dragon gloating over its gold. My crowning desire was for contact with the intellectual climate that could only be tended by being in New York. The printed words only heightened the enchantment of distant Harlem. Being in New York would put an end to my deprivation, so I thought. I would be moving among the intelligentsia, and their books would be heaped around me as high as the golden ears in a corn crib. I was struggling to escape from my teaching job in Texas for one grudging year. I was hoping to leave behind a cantankerous wife and a scowling dean. However, they could not in the end turn down the promise of more salary on the one hand and academic prestige on the other. Okay, I'll quit there. Thank you.